or something like that, everybody come up. Yeah. At first we thought that's what this was.
We'll call the Scottsboro work session Monday, March 21st to order. The invocation given by Mr. Kimmer and the pledge of allegiance given by myself.
Let's pray. Almighty and merciful Father, as we start the week of Holy Week, we give you thanks and praise. We ask you to be with the mayor and council of the city of Scottsboro as they go about the public business this evening. Lead, guide, and direct them. These things we ask in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on tonight's work session is Morris Nicholas with the lease agreement.
Hey guys, how's everybody?
Good.
My lease on the old Baylor building runs out June the 1st, and I didn't want to wait until that long to address it, so I went ahead and got on the agenda to talk to the council about renewing the lease. And I've provided you with some very basic information about the recycling operation, and I'm willing to entertain any questions you guys might have about what I do and what I plan to continue to do.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Nicholas?
Mr. Nicholas, are you requesting council to basically renew the same existing contract?
Yes, sir.
In its third incarnation?
Yes, sir.
Under the same terms and conditions?
Yes, sir.
I have here a report, what appears to be a report. It says you recycled 727.44 tons of recyclables
Each year.
each year. Is that the average?
That's the average. I left out the first 6 months. I started the business on June the 1st, so I left off that half a year there because it was really growing tired and getting set up. So that's 9 full years.
And under the contract, you're supposed to recycle 360 tons?
30 tons a month.
30 tons a month. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions?
Mr. Kimmer, you said 360 tons. Is that a minimum?
Yes.
We're almost doubling that. Is that right
The county recycling appears to be on the upward spiral. It's growing and growing and growing. They've got 8 communities that they're servicing, and they plan this fiscal year to service the remainder. So all of that recycling comes through that building.
Any other questions?
Was 2006, was that when this first began?
Yes.
Is that correct?
June 1st, 2006.
It's been, 10 years?
10 years.
5-year increments.
Yes, sir.
So it's been a long time since we looked at this contract, really 5 years. Does the contract state that once you are in the business, if you've been there for 10 years, that should something go awry with the building, repairs, maintenance, all that kind of thing, they all fall back on you, not the city, is that correct?
That is correct.
And I think we had an issue.
We had an issue with the transformer. The only reason I came back, I didn't really consider that to be a repair because I didn't have any electricity. But other than that, I've replaced a roll-up door and added siding to the building and more water leaks than I'd like to mention. But yes, I've maintained the building. I welcome a visit from anyone.
It's an old building, so.
Yes, it's
some of
an old
those
building.
things are to be expected.
That's exactly.
So same contract, no changes whatsoever, right?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you. We'll put you on next week's agenda. Next item is Kelly Get Owens.
Thank you all for letting me address you. I'm here on behalf of the Scottsboro Depot Museum to ask for financial assistance to keep us operating. You've been very generous in the past with us, and I would like to ask you to continue. In the last 12 months, approximately 753 people have passed through our door for various meetings, functions, and of course tours of our facility. They have come from Korea, Germany, and approximately 14 different states. We're adding to our artifact and exhibit collection weekly, and we're continuing to make improvements in our displays. Our vision has always been to make the museum a multi-use facility. It has been used as a meeting site for our JCHA quarterly meetings, Christmas open houses, with toy trains for the children, book club meetings, women's league meetings, nursing home patient visits, and a gathering with a catered food for the 55th class reunion of the class of 1961. It's also served as a site for a meet and greet with local candidates, and we hope to do that again just before our city elections in August. And also it's been a tour stop for adult and junior leadership Jackson County. We recently had Professor Brandt from Auburn come to our meeting at the depot, and she presented a wonderful lecture on the Creek Indians in this area. As a matter of fact, she selected us as one of only 5 places in the state in which she gave that particular lecture. It was the best attended meeting we've ever had at the depot. In 2013, when Scottsboro hosted the state convention of the Alabama Historical Association here in Scottsboro, the depot was an integral part of the tours and a meeting site with catering for a seminar during the conference. You may have recently seen a posting of dozens of photos on Facebook of prom pictures from many local schools which were taken at our depot. It gives us a proud feeling that these youngsters and their parents would choose our facility as a backdrop for these memorable pictures. We're also proud that Ms. Cindy Rice and her daughter have chosen our museum as the site for the daughter's catered wedding rehearsal dinner in October. That'll be a first for us. Mrs. Rice and her daughter are avid history supporters in Skyline, and they love trains. We do not charge for tours or meetings. We exist on donations and a yearly grant from the Bynum Foundation, which is for specific purposes such as equipment and capital improvements. We need money for daily operations, cleaning supplies, and general maintenance, security, pest control, as well as the purchase of additional artifacts and exhibits and refreshments for all quarterly meetings. I'm asking for this, you've given to us in the past, and for the past year we've not received any, so we have absolutely no income at this point in time. I thank you for your attention, consideration, and support. The amount we're asking for only amounts to $13.80 a day. So I appreciate that. Really, it's $5,000 a year. I was just.
Kelly, I think this has been done in the past, right?
Yes.
They just,
Yes.
I don't know if it was just overlooked in the budget or not. I don't remember the discussion about it, so I think it was just a
Yeah.
oversight.
For 2 years y'all did that with a bi-monthly check, and then
Right.
just sort of quit.
I think it was just one of those things that maybe just got overlooked.
Yeah. We appreciate all the help y'all give us in the past, and we could use it again.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Guns? Thank you.
We'll put that on next week's agenda as well, for budget amendment of $5,000.
Next item is to discuss the financing information for capital projects. Rick?
We discussed previously the bids that we had gotten from the 3 banks and Raymond James. out of Birmingham. Actually, they have an office located here also. But Mr. Wallingford had requested a amortization schedule from First Southern State Bank. They were the second lowest bidder at 3.35. Raymond James was at 3.23. In your packet, you have that amortization schedule along with the Raymond James amortization schedule. If you look on the next to the last page where it says 7 years of interest only, that's the first 7 years, which represents the interest only portion of the note because of the wraparound function that we would need to have to make our payments equal for the first 7 years as what we've had to cover the other bond issues that we have in force right now. That interest for the first 7 years was $726,950, and then the other portion of it is 13 years of amortization, which the interest portion would amount to $728,122. The total of those two numbers would be the total interest for the 20 years, which would be $1,455,072.14. And then the amount from Raymond James for the 20-year wraparound note was interest portion $1,415,804. So the difference would be about $40,000. That First Southern would be more than what Raymond James is, according to the numbers and the amortization schedules that I know that has been submitted to me.
Does anyone have any questions for Rick?
I've got a couple of questions. Mr. Wheeler, I appreciate you researching that for me, but what I asked for was terms that were similar on an amortization schedule. The first 7 years, of course, at 3.23%, we're showing $104,900. I realize the first year does not have a tremendous amount of interest there. I assume that's because we're not looking at a bond event until later in the year. However, the 8th year, you're showing a $503,000 payment with a $405,000 principal payment. Is that built into the new amortization schedule that you showed us?
The one for First Southern?
Yes.
I gave them the information exactly off this sheet here. I don't know if they chose to do it the way that they did, but this is what was brought back to me. But when I called Ms. McQuarrie this morning, I gave her the exact numbers off of this sheet here from Raymond James.
So you gave her the principal payment, the desired principal payments, I should say.
Yes.
Did you inquire as to whether there was flexibility? I assume that there's flexibility if we wish to pay early principal at any time in their offering.
I didn't ask that question, but I would assume.
With traditional financing, I would assume that there's no penalty for early principal payment. Is that correct?
That's what normally happens.
Is there early principal payment possibilities with the bond issue?
There is not until you're able to call the bonds. At that time, you can recall the bonds and redo the bond issue if you so desire at that time.
And can you tell me when that window is?
Normally it's about 10 years. I'm not exactly sure. I can find out for you.
So past 10 years, we can make additional principal payments should it be our desire at no penalty?
In the bond issue?
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure about that. I'd have to ask that question.
I'm going to assume that not to be the case.
I don't know. Like I said, I can't answer yes or no.
Well, common sense, which I know goes straight out the window sometimes when we're talking about these things, but common sense would tell me that if I bought a bond at a certain rate, I expect to be paid that rate. And if I'm not paid that rate, I expect some type of penalty to be associated with that. Is that fair for our consideration here?
Like I said, Mr. Carpenter, I'm not sure how bond issues sometimes work. You know, you can put specific payment terms in those bond issues, and you know, you can word it how that you would so desire for it to be worded.
And just a quick question is, the original amortization schedule from the bond issue shows a principal payment of $2.83 million. Is that correct?
Yes.
But this is a $3 million offering.
I believe it says net proceeds up at the top, $3 million net proceeds.
I guess I'm trying to understand the difference between net proceeds and total principal reimbursed. So, let's say you're a bond company, are you going to give me $3 million and accept 2.83 back?
I wouldn't think you would do that, no, sir. I would be glad to ask Raymond James and also Mr. Sutton to be here at the next work session.
That's what I was just about to
I
suggest.
think that would be prudent. I'm not saying that the bond issue is not the way to go, especially if we feel like these terms are what we want to pay back the debt payments. I don't believe that we're provided with enough information here to make an informed, intelligent decision.
And I'll be glad to get them to come. I'm sure both of them will be glad to do that, and they can answer all your questions better than I can. I'm not a bank.
But you are a financial director.
Hey, Rick, that'd be, the next work session will be April 4th. If we can get Mike or Carol or whoever from the bank to come, and then maybe Brad or Matt.
Sure.
Thank you.
Hey, Rick, if you don't mind, last time we discussed this, it was that everything was all inclusive of the rate.
Yes.
Is that correct? With
Yes.
bond? Yes. So does that include the underwriting legal municipal bond insurance? That's all that everything is included within that rate?
They told me the rate was actually 3.11, and their fees was like 0.12.
Okay, so there'll be no other additional cost after?
That's exactly what they told me. But,
Okay.
you know, when
When
they
they
get
come
here,
here, we can ask
you
them.
can ask them that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. We'll go to delegations. Before we do that, though, I wanted to read ordinance number 471, part of it, about if the delegation consists of more than one concerned citizen, a spokesperson will be designated by the group to represent the group. Each delegation will be given 5 minutes to express their concern to the council. Delegations will not be allowed to make slanderous or libelous statements concerning employees of the city nor members of the community. The good name and character of individuals will not be addressed at this open meeting. And the council will not take any action at the end of any delegation report, but may ask the mayor to look into the concern expressed by the citizens. The council may also suggest that the delegation contact the mayor or appropriate department head. Just wanted to cover that. So that will go to delegations. Gary?
Thank you, Mr. President. Council members, Mr. Mayor, citizens of Scottsboro, I gave y'all a document up here prior to my speaking to you, which highlights some of my concerns, which are basically demolition of private property and how the city of Scottsboro goes about coming to a conclusion of how property will be demolished and what the procedures are. And the reason I'm standing before you is not to say that a previous demolition which took place of the Margaret Gross property, or excuse me, Ms. Gross's daughter Jane Gross's property, was wrong or anything was wrong with it, except it'd be my position that it didn't follow the procedures as outlined by the laws of the state and even the city. And the mayor, I've submitted a records request, and the mayor, I viewed those records prior to this meeting. And I noticed there was a couple of inconsistencies. One of the inconsistencies was the law that was utilized. 1153A was cited in the documents, and of course, that's not right. Because 1153A, although that is a property abatement law or demolish or repair law, it doesn't apply to Scottsboro, as the law is actually 48 years out of date, so that creates confusion. It states that the laws, in looking at that particular law, in that the cities, the municipalities are based on 1970 census data. And of course, in 1970, I think we were around 11,000 people, not somewhere around there. But anyway, it fell below what fit into that particular property or population of the city. So you go to the next part, which is 1153B1 through 16. And this is what I wanted to outline to you, and which I gave you here, which I'm going to speak about. There are 6 specific procedures to follow. In this particular case, and like I say, I'm not saying that Mr. Smith was at fault in going to talk to Margaret Gross, or nor am I saying that the mayor is at fault asking Mr. Smith to go talk to Margaret Gross. But I think it could be used as an example, maybe of what not to do, because it gives the appearance of secrecy and also impropriety, because everybody concerned are public officials, and the fact is, in meeting in secret like this with a representative of a property actually does improve, by the city of Scottsboro demolishing that property and using Scottsboro resources, it does improve the value of that property. So there is an appearance of an ethics problem there. Not saying there is, it's not up for me to say. I'm just saying what the appearance is. And of course, with ethics violations, you want to avoid the appearance of ethics violation. But here are the procedures, 1 through 6. Notice the property owner by appropriate officials such as the code enforcement officer or building inspector. Notice requires the property owner to repair or correct the property nuisance. It is not up to the city of Scottsboro to repair or demolish property for private citizens. That is up to their responsibility to do that. And if they don't do it within the 45 days, then they can appeal the decision by the property abatement board or notice by the public official. They can appeal that, and there's a procedure for that. The clerk, Ms. Phillips, gives notice to everybody, but to have a city council person to go forward and talk, or even the mayor to go forward and talk to a private citizen, this is what we're offering you. It's my position that's improper, because it's moving away from those set procedures and guidelines of the law. And a hearing and appeal. And this is something that is interesting, and I think is problematic for the city. As sitting here, I don't ever recall, just about all meetings, the city doing this. If the city demolishes or repairs the property, upon demolition or repair of the building or structure, the appropriate city official shall make a report to the governing body. Well, first of all, I said the governing body, that's a specific definition there, and so I went to look for the definition. Under this particular law, 1153B4, I couldn't find a definition of governing body, so I had to search in there. There is a definition of governing body, and I found that. It's under the Water, Sewer, Solid Waste Disposal, and Fire Protection District. And I list that here. And it specifically says a governing body is a city council. When you're talking about county commissions, it's the county commission. Talking about counties, county commission. Or if it's a commission form of government, it falls under that. I got you. So anyway, in wrapping up, all I'm saying, Mr. Stewart saying, hey, 5 minutes, it's my position you did not follow the procedures as outlined, and I'm not asking for anything to be paid more money or anything to be taken away. I am asking, though, that you follow the law. in that the procedures don't give the appearance of impropriety or violation of ethics. That's what I'm asking. Any questions?
My personal feeling is that for someone who's not trying to say anything about Ms. Groves, her name sure is coming up a lot. She did nothing whatsoever, didn't have anything to do with it till the abatement board judged that building that needed to be repaired or destroyed. We went to her. She didn't come to us. We told her. She didn't ask us what to do. And you keep coming after her, and she didn't do anything.
That's right.
If you think there's an ethics problem with it, file an ethics complaint on me, because I win. And then, not the first one. If you file on several, because people call me because they know me. I've been around this town a long time, and I may be, I don't know, a person that has a listed phone number in the phone book. But they call me, and when they call me, I try to help them. I've always done that. I'm going to continue to do that, of course, until the Ethics Commission tells me I can't. But I did nothing wrong. The city, I don't think, did anything wrong. She surely didn't do anything wrong. And I think it's time to put this to bed as far as her concerned.
Mr. Smith, I didn't say you did anything wrong or anyone else. This is what I'm pointing out. Let's go forward, you know, and to improve, not going back. Okay. Anything else? Thank you.
Go reports. Mayor?
The only thing I'd say is that anytime we do an abatement process, and we've taken out 26 buildings in the last 2 years, I can think of at least a half a dozen that's been done this exact same way. And, you know, we're not just up here flying by the seat of our pants. We have a city attorney that we consult and that we go through making sure that the process is followed. I would argue that if Ms. Gross would have been treated in a special way, she would have $3,000 in her pocket and the house would still be standing. That would be treating her separately from what we treat everybody else. So, you know, it's something we've tried to do, procedures we've tried to follow, and hopefully this will be it. That's all I have.
Mr. Wallace?
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight, and I'd like to remind everybody, including the council, that we've got a lot of things going on. We've got a lot of good things going on, and I think it's important that we remain focused and not be distracted. We've got things to get done, and I'd just like to remind everybody of that. I think that's all I've got.
Mr. Smith?
I don't have
Mr. Gary Stewart?
I don't have anything to know.
Mr. Miller?
I don't have anything.
Thank y'all for coming out tonight. We're adjourned.